Hey friends, good to see you. We're here. This is Family Talk, which has been just the title we've used for checking in with some friendly faces, some people that we know from our Blazing Fire family. And I'm with Tim Vogel today, who was with Blazing Fire for several years. And then recently, maybe a little over a year ago or more, he moved up to Sebastopol, but he's still very much part of our connection. And so, Tim, thanks for joining us today. And why don't you tell me a little bit just about what life's been like for you up there in Sebastopol during this shelter-in-place time?
Yeah, thanks, Brent. Thanks for having me. It's not too much has changed. Other than the fact that I'm a full-time employee and teacher. With the kids being home from school, I've had to, juggle different things as it relates to my job, as it relates to my kids asking me, how to do something, related to math or how to perform some homework. But other than that, it's been pretty chill because I've worked from home for many years, so this isn't kind of used to it at this point.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think I'm similar to you. I've done a lot of work at home, so yeah. For some people, there's not much change. For others, there's a ton of change. And
Yeah.
What about your heart? Like, what's God doing internally during this time? I know He's been dealing with different people in different ways, in good
Mm-hmm.
ways, but sometimes getting us to look at things. And
Mm-hmm.
how about you? What's been going on that way?
Well, I would say nothing new or different in terms of how He's relating to me during this time. I think it's just, I think a lot of what I've been experiencing, a lot of what I've been going through is just a progression from, where I've been. And it's just the continual relationship that I've had with Him. And I mean, certainly there are things that He's highlighting to me or things that He's, sharing with me, but a lot of the inner healing, a lot of the things that He's been working on with me, those things haven't stopped, and they didn't stop and then just suddenly start up again over the last couple months. So it's been just a continual, gradual process with me.
Sure. What about some of the things? I know that God actually shares a lot of secrets with you, or things on His heart. So what have been some of those things, Tim? What's He been showing you? Just like maybe what's going on around the world or anything. What's He been showing you?
Sure. As I've been, I think a lot of it starts with asking questions. I think at the beginning of this whole thing, I have to be honest, I just wasn't really interested in knowing what the answers were. I just was happy to just kind of keep my head down. I've been through a lot over the last couple years, and I was happy with where I'd been. But over the last couple weeks, I've been asking Him some questions for myself, just trying to make sense of, just a lot of different things that are going on in the world and going on in my life. And, a couple things have really stood out to me. One of them is recently, within the last, I'd say, like week or so, as I've just been feeling and again, this is just me. I don't know if this is a corporate thing or if this is something that He's calling everybody towards, but I've just been feeling an invitation from Him to be in relationship, but also just, I've been kind of feeling like He wants to tell me something. And, and so I've just been having dialogue with Him about that. I've been being accessible to Him, where I'm kind of like, okay, like, what do we want to talk about, or what do you want to share with me? And so I feel like from that angle, as a child, as His friend, that I think there are a lot of things that He wants to say to us. And so, one of the things is I feel like there's an invitation for relationship. There's an invitation. I feel like over myself over the last week that there's been I feel like the heavens have kind of opened up over the last week. I've had some interactions with the Lord that frankly were surprising. Like I wasn't expecting them. I wasn't planning on it. It was just all of a sudden I found myself praying in the spirit. I found myself praying for things that I don't even think I know what exactly I was praying for, but I felt like he was using me to pray. And so I think that I don't want to overlook the importance of prayer, and I feel like there's a lot of things that we're wanting answers from him, and I think some of the answers are for us to pray, and I think some of the results are as a result of us being in a relationship and asking for things or asking for covering. I think that that's one thing that's been really highlighted to me. I would say waiting on him. I've just been hearing that and been just, just waiting for him to enter the room, my friend, and as opposed to just having an agenda and just diving right into it. There's so many things that are accomplished at his timing and when he wants to, and they happen really quickly. And so I just feel like I have a lot of patience because I've been through a lot of stuff, and he's continuing to cultivate that in my heart, is just waiting on him, waiting on what he wants to do. And in addition to that, I think just being able to be pliable, adaptable, comfortable with change. These are things I'm comfortable with. My life's had a lot of turmoil, so I'm not going to say I'm an expert at it, but it just kind of happened because of the circumstances around my life. I was forced to, to pivot and change and be adaptable. So I think that's one thing that he's been saying to me. And then one other thing that he's been mentioning to me, and I don't necessarily know how to say it, you might be able to help me. I know that I have a lot of faith, but at the same time, sometimes I make some pretty poor assumptions about what God is or isn't going to do. And they may not even be based on like a verse or a promise that he gave me. It's just, like, for example, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say this has happened to me, but, God is going to always take care of everything. And I'm, like presupposing that how my life is always going to go, the course or the direction.
What everything's supposed to look like ahead of time, according to your whatever idealized picture or something. Yeah.
And I've realized one thing, that he's with me throughout all of it, and that he's in the midst, and he is working everything out for good. But for me to determine what that good is where he's kind of shifted me. And that's really helped me in terms of, because I get disappointed, or I have been disappointed before about, well, God, you didn't do this. Well, he never even told me that he was going to do it. I just assumed that he was. And so I think just little subtleties like that, things that he's just kind of saying, like, just expanding my horizons in terms of those things, and then also being able to, I certainly expect things from God, but I'm not necessarily so disappointed when they don't work out anymore according to how I want them to be.
Wow.
So,
well, I appreciate you sharing that, Tim, because everybody who's watching this goes through disappointments at times, and disappointments with how things worked out or didn't work out according to what we thought was supposed to happen. And so thank you for being real. That's part of our journey is learning that God is good even when things look differently. And some of the words I heard you say are things like availability, I heard you say that, when God does move, it can be real sudden, like,
Hmm.
and we don't know what that's going to be, but it's that our hearts being ready.
Hmm.
And so I've known that about you, Tim. I know a lot about your journey and really appreciate that about you, that in the midst of it all, you've been very real, and you've been with God. And that's what I love about you. You've been very real with God, and that's worked out pretty well for you, hasn't it?
It has. It has. It's worked out pretty good. I think he's pleased with that aspect of my personality, and the fact that I'm extremely persistent. So
That's good. Well, would you have something you would want to release? I don't know if you have a prophetic declaration or a blessing or anything. I don't know. Anything in your heart you want to just release to people?
um I think if I was going to release anything, it would just be, being open, being you know being aware of the small nudges that the Lord puts on your heart, to pray, to participate in the things that He's doing, and just to pay attention to those little nudges, from His heart. And He so wants to do so many things, and He is completely capable of doing all of them without us. Um, but He, for some reason or another, has chosen man, to be in relationship with and to partner with Him through the things that He's doing. And so, I would just say, there's a lot of power, and there's a lot of there's just a lot of His might involved in meeting those calendar invites from the Lord. Sometimes He just clears the calendar and wants to do something, and we just need to be responsive. And He's looking for people that are accessible, and He's looking for people that, I don't know what it is that He wants to do with each person, but we just need to pay attention and participate in those things that He's nudging on our hearts to do. And
Yeah,
so,
it's good. Thank you, Tim. I think for all of us, so my prayer for all of you is Father, make us really sensitive to the times when you're calling us away, and you just want us to spend time. Just make us super sensitive, and to know that it is because of your great love for us that you actually want to do life with us instead of apart from us. So, Tim, I just want to thank you for sharing your heart. And once again, I know that those listening on don't know your whole journey. I know a lot more of it. To know that in the midst of the hard things of life, I've really appreciated watching how you've chosen God over and over again. And there's something about perseverance that's huge in the kingdom. So I'm proud of you, Tim, and
thank
just
you.
want to thank you for coming here and releasing encouragement in life to us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.